So a brief look at IBM as a whole. A couple things that I want to highlight here. First, if you look at the number of employees that we have about 400,000 employees inside IBM, and at any given point in time, we have over 100,000 different contractors rotating in and out of IBM. Now, what does that mean as an IBM employee? If I need to find an expert in mobile technology, in application development, cloud computing, I need to be able to tap into not only the 400,000 IBMers, but those contractors. And I need to be able to do so from my PC, from my mobile phones. If you look at our business segments that we typically run, it's broken down into 4 different areas. We have our Global Technology Services Group, our Business Services Group, Systems and Technology, and Software Group. Now, what's really interesting when we look at mobility inside IBM is if you break down what our workforce, in fact, looks like. Now, 50% of IBMers that we have been with our organization less than 5 years. So imagine the amount of new hires, college graduates, university graduates coming into IBM, employees coming in through acquisitions. Right? They're using lots of this mobile technology today. Right? So they're asking IBM to make sure that we can provide them, as a workforce, the right solutions. If you also look at the number of employees that work remotely, over 50% of IBM employees work remotely, myself included. I don't have an office that I can go and sit down in front of a computer. I'm always on the road. When I talk to customers and they say, well, where do you work out of? I typically tell them hotels and airports. And on the weekends, I'm at home. So I need to make sure that I have the right solutions wherever I am, and I need to make sure that I'm connected back into IBM, I'm connected back into my colleagues, my customers, and our contractors anywhere in the world. If we look at the market, the growth market around mobility for the next 4 to 5 years, it's clear that you can see data is probably the fastest growing space. The amount of data that needs to be pushed down to mobile devices, as well as now the amount of data that needs to be pushed up, upstream data, is growing more rapidly than downstream data. Right? The first generation of mobile computing was around, I want to get on a device, I want to be able to view, I want to be able to search for information. The next generation of mobile computing is now I want to be able to take action. I want to actually do transactions on my device, whether it be banking or whether it be purchasing through commerce solutions right there on my device, whether that be a smartphone, whether that be a tablet, whether that be at a kiosk. Right? And as we talk to organizations, there's a tremendous amount of additional IT spend that needs to go into supporting all of this, all the way from infrastructure costs to network analytics. And the reality is when we sit down and we talk to our customers and we talk to analysts around mobility, it's not just about the endpoints. It's not just about the different devices and the different software that runs on those devices. But it really spans all the way across to the network and infrastructure that need to support those devices. And so when we look at kind of the catalyst for this IT growth and where companies are in fact spending their budgets today around mobility and where they're focusing their budgets in the future, you can see a majority of companies today, their budget is in the devices. How much does it cost to have employees, to support employees, and provide them the appropriate mobile devices? Now, what's interesting, if you look at the compound growth rate for devices over the next 4 to 5 years, it's shrinking compared to other areas. And I'll talk a little bit more about this later on, and you'll see what IBM, in fact, is doing to reduce the cost, the growing cost that we have to support our employee workforce on different devices. But there's a variety of other different things that you need to take in consideration. Applications. Devices are only good if you have applications on them that allow you to get access to additional services. So how are you going to continue to support additional applications? Right? Many mobile users, they expect that they'll be getting email on there, but how do you start to introduce more collaborative and business applications down to those devices? If you look at management of those devices, we provide solutions a little bit more on the back office end to help you with asset management of the devices as well as infrastructure costs. How can you analyze that you're providing enough uptime for your employees? How can you analyze whether or not you're providing enough data bandwidth for your employees? As we start to look at additional capabilities within technology, such as video streaming from your phones, both pulling down video as well as uploading video live, how can we ensure that there's enough bandwidth? How can we analyze that bandwidth, and how can we throttle that up and throttle that down and provide companies a view into that to make sure that they're providing the correct service level agreements for their employees and customers? You saw a different variation of this chart a little bit earlier, and I like to break it out into one more category. If you look at the entire ecosystem around mobility, all the way from the devices, right? And one thing that you're not going to see in the short-term future, at least, is any IBM branded devices. We're not in the device manufacturing business. However, we are actually building components that fit in some of these devices. We have semiconductors that run in a variety of devices, and I'll talk more about that. Then there's the applications. Right? We provide applications for a variety of different devices that connect to IBM as well as non-IBM services so that you can get information and data down to those devices. We look at the telecommunications providers, and we work with a variety of telecommunications providers, both on the front end, the device and the applications, but even more on the back end, helping them manage their mobile infrastructure. And then, of course, these applications need to connect to some type of services, whether these are services that you want to run on-premise, or whether these are services that you want to run in the cloud, whether it be a public or private cloud, to be able to access these data. And that's really the breakdown of the mobile ecosystem. Now, I talked about working with the telecommunications providers. What's interesting here is that of the 198 communication service providers, about 170 of them we've been working with. And this is typically more on the back end capabilities here. Now, we started this journey inside IBM in 1997, and it's something that we're proud of. Back in the late 1990s, as the internet was continuing to grow and all the companies that were coming on that typically ended up forming the internet bubble burst, we started looking at pervasive computing. We, in fact, started a division focused on that technology. We were hedging our bets that the next evolution of this internet was going to be down to mobile phones. And so we started working with a variety of telecommunications providers. You can see helping them evolve their network, helping them look at bandwidth utilization, helping them look at device management, and we're continuing to work with a variety of these telecommunications companies today. What's also interesting that most people don't know is over 1 million mobile phones that will be shipped this year include IBM technology. This is all the way from components, hardware components inside of those devices, as well as software components that we provide in a variety of these different devices. We also provide lots of tooling from our Rational brand that help a lot of these manufacturers, in fact, write the code, write the software using our tooling that ends up running the operating systems on a variety of these devices. So we're continuing our evolution in a variety of different spaces around mobile technology and the mobile ecosystem.